we don't need.
Okay.
So we can go back through every slide slowly if you want. We know we kind of had to rush.
Yeah, and there's a lot of information there, given all those tables, and it helped us kind of narrow down our decision and make sure we get the best.
There was a lot of voting processes, like collectively, in order to narrow down things.
Yeah, I'm glad you went with the ultrasonic sensor.
That's a good
Yeah.
Good to hear. Yeah.
We definitely picked that up from our last meeting with Nathan. We could tell he enjoyed that idea.
And also, it seems like it may be the most accurate way to measure the levels.
So, yeah, I like the way you guys didn't rule any of these options out. I mean, initially you included some options that were
Different.
yeah
Yeah.
creative. And
That was really the goal, to try and make sure we covered every possibility.
Yeah, because even the craziest ideas may spark an inspiration to find something better.
that's right.
So we included the wacky ones too.
Yeah, and I noticed you had centrifugal pump on each one. And was that what was the decision behind that?
The current double diaphragm pump, we don't know right now if we can keep using it.
Yeah.
But centrifugal pump wise, it's easier to maintain. I would say you don't have to have the air supply or anything like that.
And it's on the outside of the tank, so it's easier to get to.
And there's also the option, like, even if we have to move the current pump,
we have to reroute the air supply.
Rewrite the air supply,
and,
everything. After some research, double diaphragm pumps aren't really commonly used in this sort of thing at all. Anyways, it's more of like a centrifugal pump. It's mostly is what you see.
Yeah.
Are we using a double diaphragm pump up there right now?
Right.
You are, yes.
Yeah, and our compressor's pretty taxed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, at times it gets low,
Yeah.
the pressure pumps, but we don't know why it does.
And we also have to have a pump that has enough head pressure to push that fluid all the way to the second floor. So
Yeah.
centrifugal pump.
So before we reuse your current pump, we need to do more calculations and research on that.
So in your final selection, it appeared as though you just have 5 tanks total, the day tank in each of the test stands, and then the storage tank in the basement. Is that?
Mm-hmm.
And the fluid will be flowing directly from the tank in the basement to the day tanks instead of using any carboys at all in that final concept.
So I would suggest coming up with a plan B just in case something fails on that delivery system.
Yeah, we were thinking of the possibility of just having a backup pump there ready to switch on whenever just in case a pump failed or something of that nature.
Are you looking for like a second hookup for a carboy then?
That would be
Okay.
up
So, like,
to you guys
yeah,
to,
definitely.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
just because it's pretty important, I believe, Rocky, that we do have DEF.
Constantly supply.
As,
Yeah, I mean, because we would be able to run some stuff. So if it was down, we would wait no pressure or anything.
Mhm.
Or if you had that tank upstairs and give maintenance time to work on the one downstairs. We have that on the second level, the old day tank.
I mean, have we had any issues with the diaphragm pump?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, from a cost standpoint, it's definitely gonna be most likely cheaper, right?
Right.
Because with the centrifugal, you're gonna have to put an electrical starter. So I mean, it's gonna be a lot easier to run the airline than it will be to do the electrical. And then the centrifugal, you're gonna have to worry about, chemical compatibility versus the diaphragms that are in the pump and plastic pump.
So you're leaning towards the current.
I'm just
pump that
saying
have.
you just need to look at from an overall cost standpoint and reliability standpoint, because it's gonna be more expensive to install. You probably have to, it probably is less maintenance on a centrifugal pump than it is on the diaphragm pump.
So you're saying it's more expensive to install a centrifugal pump though, to run the electricals?
Yeah, because you're gonna have to buy a starter and everything to go and install the electrical versus running an airline there's gonna be airline in the basement in all likelihood.
And we'll also take into account safety measures like a sensor that will let us know if the tank is getting too full, you know, at the top maybe, and then a
With
safety valve
ultrasonic,
to.
with ultrasonic in the logic, you could use that as
Yeah.
that level gets,
Mhm.
the logic will turn.
And also
on.
like a manual valve, that way it can be cut off by hand.
And you probably need to look at a secondary independent, like high level, for like overfilling the tank or something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's independent of the ultrasonic sensor.
Ultrasonic gives you a thing, but like he's saying, you have one that's independent in case this one fails.
It uses like a different technology or just totally independent of that
Okay.
analog transmitter.
Okay.
All right.
So as part of y'all's project, are you gonna like sort of design the system, or are you just providing the concept, or?
We will
We
design the
design
system.
We're taking this
This-
feedback and working with
So
it.
next semester will be when your
Okay.
P&IDs will come through.
This first concept idea was just mainly to make sure that you guys were okay with what we were doing before we proceeded any further and got to the point where you guys were not okay with things that we were spending multiple hours on.
Good.
So, as much feedback as possible will benefit everybody in this situation.
So what about, spill containment and?
Your tank will be double lined,
Yeah,
per safety requirements.
we were told that was absolutely mandatory, double line tank.
Yeah, I mean, there's two different ways to do it, but yeah, that works.
What's the other way?
Well, depending, I mean, you could just have spill containment,
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily have to double line tank.
Okay.
But when you have limited space, it's a lot better to have the double line tank.
Yeah.
That's true.
And, just from a location standpoint, these guys do move chemicals in and out of the basement. 55-gallon drums from time to time.
55-gallon drum.
Where do you keep those in the basement?
They're down there on the far end, probably where you would put your tank.
Okay.
So we don't want to interfere with the, you know, the hoist area.
That's where that crane is?
Yeah, so.
Okay.
yeah.
So right.
As long as that remains open, so we can drop stuff. on
Mhm.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
But that really restricts you a lot.
Mhm.
Interference there, so. You guys have been able to get all the MSDS information and everything.
Mhm.
Done a good job of communicating with different people, but I'll make sure you have everybody's communications, email and everything from the guys that are here today.
Okay.
And you spoke with the supplier?
Yes.
They're gonna, yeah, how have they been as far as giving you guys information on what their capabilities are as far as?
Very responsive. We still need to, working out the details if we went with the tractor trailer parking would be more extensive, obviously, but they've been very responsive, so.
Which supplier have you talked to? Is it Avid Oil? Avid Oil?
Yes. Mhm.
So as far as that newly generated concept goes, you guys would just recommend
Safety backups.
the safety backups a backup way to measure the level other than the ultrasonic sensor that's not even connected. That way it can, you know, work with the ultrasonic
Feels
sensor.
mechanical system type thing.
That would require like a double wall tank. Let's see, we want to look into more using a diaphragm pump maybe instead of
But
the
just
expensive.
look at it in more
As an
detail.
overall.
Mhm.
Okay.
It may be a good idea to specify two separate pumps. You can say, okay, you can use this
Yeah.
centrifugal pump, or you can use this diaphragm pump, whichever y'all prefer. And
Mhm.
it would kind of be up to us whether we
Okay.
wanted to use either one. So I think both of them will do the job. I mean, it's not a heavily taxed application, right? So it's not like the diaphragm pump is sitting there running all the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of low volume in my opinion, so,
Mhm.
you know, I think a diaphragm pump is applicable. Is it as good as a centrifugal? No, but it may be better when you weigh the cost and everything else
Right.
involved with it, so
Right.
I think it's worth having the options.
I mean, even with the centrifugal pump, you're gonna have different options, whether or not you're like a mechanical seal, or whether or not you have magnetically coupled,
Mhm.
so you avoid the problems with the seal leaking. So those are the kind of things. It's fairly nasty when it leaks.
Oh, yeah, definitely is not fun when it starts leaking and getting everywhere, it makes a mess, so you definitely want that. And there's certain requirements for the pumps as far as
Right.
materials and compatibilities, which you've
Mhm.
already, I'm sure you're aware of all that.
It's very corrosive.
That's right, yeah. And I guess the question would be, have you already thought of the concept of how to refill this tank? Where they're going to refill it and how that is gonna work? Is there?
Mhm.
We can either have a separate piping system coming into the tank, or we could drop it through that hoist, cause there's a door there, and you can open up the panels in the floor and drop the hose
Yeah.
down through there, so it'd be gravity fed, either way.
It depends really how close the truck can get to the building at that point. That's coming to refill.
Yeah.
So, does Abbott have, particular specifications on what they can and cannot fill or connect to? Do they-
That's something we're looking into.
Requirements, okay.
Mhm.
Most suppliers have, like a overall thing that they all use, like
Yeah.
for DEF, just because it's, you know, like, you gotta treat it differently when you're dealing with like running through metals and stuff like that.
I think it can only be exposed to like stainless steel and polymers.
So a couple
Any other
different
metal
polymers.
is kind of corrosive to us, like aluminum and copper, that kind of stuff. It would corrode
Sounds
very
nice.
easily. So
We looked into a couple of different concepts of tanks. That most of the ordering wise, you're mostly gonna see like plastic cylinders. That's why we modeled them that way. There are a couple options. I saw some modular tanks that you can connect together and line with whatever you want, which could be a decent option here, considering the space constraint.
So in my opinion, it would be nice to not have to load or fill the tank from the inside of the building.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Ultimately, we would not want to have to open that hatch and, and drop a hose down in there. That's-
Right.
Yeah.
If we can avoid that, that would be great, without, you know, incurring massive amounts of cost, which I think there's a way to do that.
balance it. Yeah.
But yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, we were just thinking of having, other than that idea, we were thinking of having like the truck just pull up to the front of the R&D building and maybe have like some piping system that ends right there, so where you could just, you know, get out of the truck and fill it there, and then it would go directly to the basement from there.
Sounds good.
That way, barely any manpower will be involved, and all the day tanks will be fed on a regular basis.
You're just gonna have to have some kind of spill containment for wherever you do the unloading,
Mhm.
where he makes the attachments and stuff to
Okay.
handle that.
There's, should be some out at the tank farm.
Yeah, so if you look at where the oil tanks are and the fuel tanks are out there, they basically have a box,
Mhm.
and the connections are inside that box, so when you couple and decouple, if there's any
Oh,
grips or
yeah.
anything, it's contained
Yeah.
inside that box. And it's also there so you can lock the box, so no one can get in there to do anything, or, you know, mistakenly put a fluid in there that's not supposed to go in there, so. But that's all in the main design part of it, so I'm sure y'all will think about all that plus more stuff that we haven't mentioned, so.
Yeah, it helps to narrow it down to a concept to focus on instead of everything, every possibility.
Yeah, I think you've gotten off to a good start. Communication is going to be key to the success of this project. And, you know, coming up with an idea that's going to be easily maintained and easily used, because I have seen quite a few projects that were too not so user-friendly,
Mhm.
and they just bypassed it and, you know, say like just put a carport on the second floor like they're doing now instead of using the new system. So that's my suggestion to you guys, is to continue to come out and get ideas and communicate with everyone and find out exactly what the needs are going forward, and share with us what you have. So I'm sure that won't be a problem.
We will do that.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
Cool. I'm gonna email you a couple questions that I have about the vendor list
Okay.
again.
Yep.
Other than that, it's good feedback. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much.
Good job, guys. Good
Thank
job.
you for
Good
your
job.
time.
Yeah, good job, thank you.
Thank you. And you guys got the pictures of the
I did.
Yes, we
Got
got
them.
that.
devices?
Thank you.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, guys.